Hello guys, my name is João. I'm completely unprepared for this presentation, but I blame it on André and Luis because they only let me know that this was actually going to happen, I think, 2 days ago or so. So I don't have any fancy presentation, but I think I do have something interesting to talk to you about today. And I mean, I haven't prepared it, so effectively this could take only 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe it can take 20 because I talk quite a bit. So if this rings and then you want to talk more about this topic, I'm quite passionate about it. So we can actually do it later if you guys want it. So just a bit of background about myself. My name is João. I'm an engineer, electrical engineer by background. But my career has mostly been focused around startups and investments. I've started my first company when I was 19 years old. When I was back at Técnico, the Technical University of Lisbon. And throughout my career, I've launched different products. I've also worked quite a bit in industry. I've worked in the energy sector for a few years in the Netherlands, in the US, and in the UK. And today I work for a very exciting startup here in Lisbon called Sensei. And at Sensei, we are effectively developing the technology for deploying autonomous stores like Amazon Go, but helping traditional retailers move the needle and shift to an autonomous store concept, which we believe is going to grow in relevance as time moves forward and is going to be an important complement to the traditional store model. But no more about myself. What you can see here is a happy child, right? And happy child are cool, right? I don't have children yet, but I do like when I see children smiling, and I think you too. And why do I have this here? Because I believe, fundamentally, that technology can play a massive role in terms of creating positive social impact in the world. I'm not sure if you know much about the venture capital industry, but over the last 10 years, this has been a growing market, and it is sized at about $160 billion in those last 10 years. That's quite a lot of money. I'm not sure if you know what the GDP of Portugal is, but you can do the math. So, and this is effectively $160 billion being channeled into technology startups that are developing super cool stuff like autonomous stores, like Slack for us to chat with each other when we work, and a whole bunch of other types of products. And all these products, they have a place in the market, and they deliver value to end users, and that's all good and nice, and more power to them. But there's effectively room for technology to be applied directly to solve social impact problems. And this is actually a segment of the venture capital market called social impact investment, which has been growing quite a bit in the US and the UK. The rest of the world, it's been relatively quiet. I actually tried to launch an investment fund in Portugal after I came from the Netherlands, and I was working on it for about a year, but we were not able to raise the necessary amount of capital to make the fund economically viable. But anyway, that's for a different day. The reality is that I massively respect you guys, right? So I believe technology is extremely important. I believe that people with your skills, with my skills, although I used to code back in the day, but not anymore. Now I spend more time in Excel and PowerPoint and cool stuff like that. But I really respect you guys. So makers, I think makers are really the people that are going to deliver value tomorrow. And I really think that there's a lot of room in terms of developing products and services that can make children happy. And children, when I talk about children, obviously it's a metaphor for all the different areas that can be labeled as social impact. To be a bit more concrete, right? I've worked, when I was launching the fund in Portugal, I was working together with an investment fund, an investment firm that managed multiple funds in private equity, venture capital, etc. But I was also working with a non-profit organization. I'm not going to name it because it's not relevant here. I can talk about it afterwards, obviously. But what I've learned is that the non-profit sector, I mean, obviously they do amazing stuff. We all know them. We all respect them. They solve really cool problems, but they use a mindset and the processes and the tools to solve those problems that are completely out of sync with what the world can deliver today. So they do a lot of super interesting projects on a very local scale. So for example, this NGO I'm talking about, they work, for example, in prisons. I think they work in about 2 or 3 prisons in Portugal. And they have a program to try and reskill prison inmates so that when they go out, they can actually find a job and they can be integrated easily back in society. And this is very, very good, obviously. But I think the key question here is, if this impact on a scale of 3 prisons is already really good, how can we actually scale that impact up? And I think, obviously, I mean, it's not rocket science to understand that technology indeed can play a pivotal role in terms of allowing this local impact to be scaled using technology. And it's based on this premise here, technology to scale local social impact, that the venture capital fund that I've tried to set up and raise was kind of based on. And if I can leave you with a message, because you guys in any shape or form are all makers here, and you do have skills to build stuff, I do challenge you guys to think, yeah, okay, I do have all these skills, I can do all this stuff, but I need to apply them to problems that speak to my heart. And choosing the right problems that we want to tackle, that we want to apply our time, which is limited, or maybe not if we live in a virtual reality simulation. But I mean, how can we apply it to problems that speak to our heart and that at the end of the day can make children smile? And I think that's all.